Okay,
What's
we're
up?
back.
What's up?
Both sick. We got video this time. I think we have to look at the phone to record because.
No, we don't. Well, we'll be like this.
Okay, both sick, so
Mm-hmm.
like we're gonna sound a little bit hotter. But
Yep.
That's okay. For all
Um,
female listeners, all two of them.
it's growing. It's growing rapidly.
Anyway, how do we want to start this? Do we want to go with?
I want to hear your story. What's your story?
Okay. My story. Well, we haven't done an episode in a long time.
I know.
I'm like, where do I look? So back from the ER, it's a few weeks ago. And this is like towards the end of my time in the ER. And at this point, I should have known, what to do. But like, no one gives a fuck of like how they deal with the patients, and it's all like, poor people. So they're like, oh, let's just like, we'll tell them, but we won't really tell them what's going on. So I had kind of a lax attitude. And so this lady came in.
Well, plus everyone speaks Spanish who comes in.
Yeah,
so there's
exactly.
this language barrier.
Yeah.
Everyone's poor, which I don't know why that changes anything, but it does.
I think that just like makes it that they don't understand as much of like what's going on with their care.
Yeah.
And so the doctors don't really explain as much as I think they should. But this lady came in and she just had like a little bit of shortness of breath. And, they told me to go see her. And I was like, oh, no, actually, I think I volunteered to go see her. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go see her. And so like just before I went, I just looked in her chart. And, I saw her name, whatever it was. And then I saw that a COVID test had already been done. And I saw her vitals. And she was like, her heart was a little fast, but anything else was like, okay.
And vitals, that's just like blood pressure, heart rate, your respiratory rate. What else?
And oxygen saturation.
Yeah.
So all that was good. She wasn't in any distress or anything. So I went to talk to her and I was like, hey, how are you doing? When did the shortness of breath start? She's like, oh, a day ago. And some other bullshit. She didn't really have any other symptoms. I did a physical exam and I was like listening to her lungs. Everything was good. And while I was doing the physical, I was like, so have you been vaccinated for COVID? She's like, no, I haven't. And I was like, why not? Why haven't you been vaccinated?
Did you shake her?
Yeah. And she was like, oh, I just want to wait. I don't want to be one of the first. I want to wait until everyone gets it and then see if anything bad happens. I was like, okay. I was like, because you have COVID. And she's like, what?
You told her? Wait, it came back positive and you're like,
No. So she's like, what? And then she fucking puts her head in her hands and she starts bawling. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And I'm like, there, it's okay. Kind of thing. And I was like so shocked because that's never happened to me before where someone like does it. I'm like, what the fuck is the big deal? You have COVID, you'll get better, whatever. It's like, if this is you having COVID where you have like nothing going on, then like, what's the big deal? Mm-hmm. And I kept asking her, I was like, yo, what's wrong? Like, what's the matter? Why are you like breaking down? She's like, oh, I have kids at home. I was like, so like, why does that matter? Like, your kids are fine. And she's like, do they have to get tested? I was like, yeah, probably. And she's like, I just gave birth a little while ago. I'm fucking terrible at this point. Like everything, now that I'm saying it, everything sounds like the wrong thing to say.
That's you in general,
yeah,
I feel like, so that's nice.
It probably was. And then I finished the physical and I was like, oh fuck, am I fucked for like telling her this? And I was gonna go tell the resident that like, hey, I made a big oopsie. And I told her she has COVID. I didn't know if you guys wanted to do that. And I was like, you know what? Just before I say I fucked up, I'm going to go check the computer. And I made a mistake. I thought COVID positive meant she was positive, but it meant the COVID test was done.
Oh my God.
I looked and it said COVID came back negative. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh.
You made a woman cry for nothing.
I'm so sorry. But I just double checked. I misread it. And then the COVID test is actually negative. It just said the COVID was done. And she like was like, oh my God, I'm so relieved, blah blah blah. And she was like, okay, I'm glad because I don't go anywhere. I was like, okay, good. And then I had to go present to the resident. And I was like, should I bring this up? And I was presenting. He's like, okay, let's go. I was like, guess I'm not gonna mention it.
Oh no.
So it never came up again. And then later, like I was taking her to X-ray to get a chest X-ray, and she's like, do you think, blah, blah. I was like, don't fucking ask me. I told you I had COVID. He didn't have COVID, so obviously I don't know anything. But she was chill about it. I was like, I'm just a med student, I don't really know anything, so take it.
That is nice that we have the ability to just take all responsibility away from ourselves and be like, so I'm just a fucking idiot medical student, and anything I say is nothing. It means nothing.
Yeah, it's been super nice to be able to say that, and I'm like kind of gonna miss being able to say that.
Oh,
but
dude.
I can't believe I did that at the end of my fucking rotation. Like, it shouldn't have been that late, and I should have like done it with like more class and like double checked, but fuck it, man. You learn.
We're figuring it out, man.
You learn from it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, nurses are like the soldiers of the, medical, like, of the hospital. Doctors know a lot, but I think the main difference between the two is doctors are responsible for fucking everything. Like, it all comes on their head if shit goes down. And so it's just like double check, triple check shit,
Yeah, but honestly, like, I shouldn't even like cared, because the nurses like say that shit all the time. They're like just so like upfront about it and blunt, and like they don't give a fuck. I'm like,
and some of the small stuff that we're sweating now, we're not even gonna think twice about it in the future.
Yeah.
Like, we'll accidentally tell someone, "Oh, we fucked," I said a positive COVID test, but it's actually negative.
Yeah.
It won't even phase us at some point. Maybe I don't know. It's just a guess.
That was my biggest problem for like that week. So life's pretty easy right now. I like it.
Yeah, because you're not doing shit now.
And yeah, it's even easier now. Step 2, done with.
That's our big test. That's the big cheese.
It was kind of stupid that like they decided to like fuck us with like one extra block, because there's already 7 blocks of 40 questions in step 1, which takes 8 hours. But they're like, no, that's not enough.
It's an 8-hour test for step 1. That was the test we've taken in the past to like start rotations. Yeah, clinical rotations in hospitals.
Step 2, they're like, fuck it, we're gonna add another 40 questions in another hour, and now it's 9 hours long. And experience overall, like, you never know how you're gonna feel coming out of it. But I realized like tomorrow morning is 1 week mark, so I'll have my marks back, and I wrote it on Saturday. So literally in like 10 days, I get my score back, which is like super.
Tell me about the lead up to the test, though. I haven't taken step 2 yet. It's like one of the biggest tests of our entire lives.
Yeah.
It's to decide whether we get into residency or not, which is like actually the biggest moment of our lives. I mean, medical school is a close second, probably.
How many are there? There's MCAT's pretty important.
MCAT's
step 1. MCAT for med school, step 1 for rotations, and step 2 for residency. They're all pretty important. I would say step 1 is the most important.
Yeah.
Because that's what they look at most. But now that they're changing it, probably step 2 will be more important.
So you decided to like do it early because you're super genius, man.
No, I honestly like I don't think it was a big deal, because I had the 6 weeks of EM where you have 4 days a week when you're working and 3 days off, so I studied a lot during then. It was like a good time to like go through everything. You had a lot of downtime where you could work, so I felt like pretty confident. And then like after EM I did a practice test. It went well, and then part of it was like I think I'm ready, but also part of it was that like there's nothing else I can do. So I studied for I think like 2 weeks or something after I finished EM. So that was 6 weeks of EM that I studied, and then 2 weeks of just like doing nothing. And when I did the second practice test, I was like, I felt really good. And the third one was the one from like NBME, super simplistic. Really straightforward. It wasn't predictive at all of like how you do in the actual thing. So I'm like, why am I wasting $60 to pay for this and 2 more tests after this, and like wasting my time?
So you just moved that shit up. Did it early.
Yeah. I feel like if anything, I'm just gonna forget things, because like this isn't testing on. It's not recent. It's from 2012. It's like 9 years old. And I'm just gonna forget the facts that I know now. I felt like I was putting everything.
What's from 2012?
The NBME Form 6.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay, well, to put some of this into perspective, I'm not only not feeling ready for the exam, and I'm not taking it right now. I'm waiting a whole year to take it. This man took it not only early, but was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it earlier than even earlier."
I don't think it was that early, honestly, in the grand scheme of things. Like, you know, a lot of people are doing it early August, and I just did it, you know, mid-July, so it's only like 2 weeks early. You know, all our friends are doing it early July. Some people who want to wait because they have rotations and they started later are just doing it end of August or early September.
Tell them about what happens before tests for you.
Oh, yeah. So, like, man, I don't know how it was for the MCAT, but I hope it wasn't like this. I think I slept. When I did the MCAT, I don't think I slept too well, though. Like, for some reason, my anxiety gets so freaking bad. And it's not even anxiety about the test. Well, here's what it is. Step 1, it was anxiety about the test. And I was like, am I going to do well? Blah, blah, blah. And so I couldn't sleep. You know, I kept having swirling thoughts. I felt like I had PTSD or something. I was not able to sleep. I took so many, like...
Everyone with PTSD is like, go fuck yourself. Continue.
The swirling thoughts of PTSD. Like, oh, yeah.
It's like people saying, like, oh, yeah, I have the biggest OCD. Like, it's like, no, you just like your pencils in the right spot.
I can self-diagnose. Okay, let's do that.
Keep going.
And step 1 was, I took so many, I don't even know how much I took. I took a lot of, like, diphenhydramine to put me to sleep. That didn't work. I took melatonin. That's the strongest thing I had, so I took a bunch. And I slept, like, 1 hour during the night. I stayed up for, like, literally, like, I tried to get 10 hours of sleep, but I knew I wouldn't get it. So I was like, okay, if I take 2 or 3 hours of sleep, I still get, like, 7 hours. But I ended up getting like 1 hour of sleep, and I didn't sleep for like 9 hours.
This is for step 1.
Yeah.
What did you do? What did you do preemptively to try to get sleep though for step 1?
I woke up really early. I worked out, and I was just like, you know, just out with my friend all day. So I was like, I'm gonna make myself tired, and then I'll take some like, you know, sleeping pills, and then I'll.
Did you take benzos? Didn't
No.
the oh.
That was my mistake. I should have got them. I didn't know what benzos were, so I was like, fuck it, you know, what am I going to do?
I thought you had got some from the doctor.
No, not at that time. I didn't have benzos. And I had like a breakdown when I woke up. I still woke up like, you know, a ways before my exam was going to start. And I had like a
But you had 1 hour of sleep before the biggest test of your life.
Yeah.
And you can't retake this test. This is it. Like, you get the one chance, and it decides your fate.
Yeah, it's too much stress for one test.
It's fucking insane.
And I was like crying in the morning. I like messaged my dad and my sister, and I was like, should I take it? Should I, you know, try to like move it? And I even went on ECFMG, and I tried to like reschedule it for like 2 days, but it was like you're within the 5-hour window of your test or something, and you can't move it. And I was like, oh fuck. And then I just went and like took it, and it worked out fine. And then this time, it wasn't more of
it worked out fine. You were like dying by the end of the test,
yeah,
but
it was,
but yeah, your score ended up good.
Yeah. And then when I did this one, it wasn't the same thing. I knew like all the material, and what was really the issue was that I was anxious that I wasn't going to get enough sleep. And so this time I think I fucking like killed it, but I took like, you know, my benzos, and I did like beg the doctor to give me some. I was like, please, I'm not gonna.
Okay, you have to mention more about that. So you go to the doctor. Why did you go to the doctor in the first place?
To get benzos.
You went there, and he's like, okay, so what brings you in today?
Yeah, I was like, yo, like I'm a med student. You know, I have a lot of test anxiety. Can I have some benzos?
And by the way, benzos are fucking like
controlled
Xanax.
Substance. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a controlled substance. It's Xanax. It's alprazolam. It's diazepam. Isn't it all those?
Yeah, I don't think. No one knows the
okay,
actual names, but yeah, it's like stuff that they don't really give out. And I was like, you know, I swear to God, I'm not gonna like, you know, fucking abuse them. I just need them for like my tests that are coming up. And he's like, okay, I can give you like 8. And I was like, sounds good.
I just think it's so funny that you could just be like, hey, I need these because I think I need them, and then they're like, all right, fuck it.
he was a young guy, so he was pretty chill about it. He understood. But it was super annoying, man. I fucking hate this neighborhood because someone was like playing their loud ass music right as I was going to sleep, and I was like about to like, you know, knock out, and I was like, because someone like fucking started playing their music, and it ended up that like they kept playing their music super loud and for a long time, so I ended up calling 911. And
are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know this.
It's a fucking emergency, bro.
Wait. How much time did you give it before you called 911?
Like 5 minutes. The bar was like, on the ground, dude.
Oh.
I didn't want to wait. I'm like, why? This should be going on, first of all. Like, I don't know why you have to blast music outside.
You waited 5 minutes?
Man, how long do you expect me to wait? I'm not going to wait for...
No, I love it. That's amazing. You got the biggest day of your life ahead of you.
Yeah.
A motherfucker playing music.
Wow. And I was like, it's Saturday night, bro. Go to a club. I don't know why you're blasting your music. It's a barbershop that does it too, which is so annoying. And I called 911. They're like, yo, what's your issue? I was like, hey, like, I have a noise.
Wait. Is this step 1 or step 2?
That was like, a week ago.
Oh, this is step 2?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I live in a quiet neighborhood. I don't care about the noise. And she's like, yo, what's your issue? I was like, I have a noise complaint. She's like, okay, you got to call 311. And I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. So I called 311. And guy picked up, was super nice. I guess he knows what it is. He's like, all right, tell me, blah, blah, blah. And I told him the streets it was on. I was like, yo, I'm pretty sure it's a barbershop on like this street. And the noise turned off in like 10 minutes. I was like,
oh, wow.
Okay, that's awesome. And I was having trouble falling asleep because it's that stupid thing where like once you're like about to fall asleep and you like snap out of it, you're like more aware. And so I just popped under a benzo and I got a good like 6 hours of sleep.
Damn, so how many milligrams did you take?
I just took one. They're each like 0.5. I wanted to save some for later. So, yeah, I don't know. And it was okay. I don't know how it went, obviously, because like everything's a blur. But
yeah, I mean, you sit down for a fucking 9-hour test.
Yeah.
You just crank through it.
Yeah, but it's nice to know like this is what I can repeat in the future to just like keep it up and not have like I don't know, I can't control, man. Like I said on the pod before, like I think the selective mutism in like my early life was just like the most outward form of the anxiety, and I have like a bunch of like other anxiety that's like just more hidden and insidious than like that where I just don't talk. So but otherwise it was good.
I think a bunch of people have that kind of a thing. I mean, just anxiety in general this day and age, but which leads me to what I think we're being selected for these days, because throughout time people die, and then if they're not able to reproduce, then it's like, okay, they were selected against, they're not going to reproduce, their traits aren't passed down to generations, right?
I can use the stuff I learned in biology class for this thing.
But the the ones that did reproduce, us, the cool guys who made it,
our dads, okay, not us.
Guys and girls, our genes are passed along. So, but then it's like, okay, people aren't really dying as much these days. The curve of like human life in the world is like this, and then it fucking just shoots up to present day. So what are we being selected for now? I know there's like been like some theories and stuff, but I just thought about this the other day. It's like I think anxiety and depression are big ones. Because what do you tell me, Ken? What is the biggest cause of death for teenage and early
accidental injury?
Accidental injury, right? So it's accidental injury, and then what? Do you know number 2? I think it's suicide.
You think so?
I think it is. If not, it's number 3, but I think it's number 2. So anyway, accidental injury. So people that are taking major risks are essentially dying a lot. Honestly. And then also people who, have too much anxiety or too much depression, and are in like an environment that it's not conducive for that, and they're committing suicide before they're able to reproduce. So that's big. Yeah.
I was thinking about this too, but in a different way. I think like oh fuck, my phone vibrated. That means I gotta put it on silent. I think cut this part out. I think we went down the wrong path as a society. I think
okay.
It's more of like I think
we'll get deep as fuck.
Yeah, deep than the what are we being selected for?
Hit us with the superficial.
I think like we had multiple routes to go down, and I think we chose the wrong one.
You're talking about like the tribal, homogenous type
kind of
versus like the independent.
How we structure a society, I think we went down like the wrong route, and I think that's like a lot of like the cause of the problems that we have. Because if you think about it, who signed up for a society where there's like 10 people that have all the money, and then 80% people that have like equal to them?
You're talking income inequality.
Kind of, but more. I'm gonna try and build on it if I don't get lost along the way. But for the most part, like the upper percentage have everything,
Yeah.
and like, what do you do if you have everything? I don't even fucking know. Like, you gotta like, what are you working towards? At least like if you were in like a hunter-gatherer thing, your needs were not always met. And so you were like, going out and you were like having to, and I have a good example of like, to back this up, but you were going out and you had to hunt for food. You didn't have time to worry about this shit. And then the lower, percentage of like, let's say the bottom like 20%, they're constantly trying to like claw their way out of like the bottom 20, but the society is built in a way that like it's impossible. If you have nothing, how are you gonna build yourself up? At least in like, hunter-gatherers things, you can just go out and get food. But here it's like, how are you gonna do that?
I guess I think you're just more linked to the community back then, whereas now it's like you make your own way or you don't.
Yeah. And have you heard of David Choi?
Sounds familiar.
He's like this Asian guy. He has a new show out on Hulu. Watch it, by the way. But he was on Joe Rogan and he was talking about his experience. He went and lived with like the Hadza tribe in Africa, and there's like one of the few remaining like hunter-gatherer tribes. And he's like, I went initially for like a certain amount of time, and I still like I lived with them, but I still had my own food. I had like protein bars, water, and a few other things. And like he said, they were just like living off the land. They didn't have anything. He's like, I made more trash myself than the rest of the entire tribe did. And he's like, before I went there, I was severely depressed and I was severely anxious. And while I was living with them, I had none of that. Everything was going better for him. He wasn't taking any medication because he takes a lot of medications. And then he's like, I eventually tried to just go all in. And he's like, I felt amazing. I didn't take my protein bars. I didn't take my water. I just did whatever they did. And in the beginning it was tough, but like, he's like, as I got more accustomed, it was super like enlightening to live like that.
I mean, we're not like physiologically built for this environment, especially now that we've come to the city, New York. I mean, holy fuck, we're not meant for this shit. Like, just concrete everywhere. You don't see anyone all day, and like when you do, it's just for like a job type shit. And
So what I mean, I can't believe I brought it all the way back to what I mean that like, I think we took the wrong route was that I think we made it to a point where we're just have complete comfort, and like it's kind of individualistic and there's no sense of community. Like here, for example, in New York, I don't feel a sense of community.
None.
But when I'm at home in like my small town, which is like still like 200 some thousand, like it's nice.
At least there's something.
Yeah, and like there's a pride parade, and I felt good. I was like, oh, these people are like in the city I live in, and like I would go to a lot of events. But here, it's like so many people, I don't have any connection to anything. And I think that is also part of like there's not really any like shared spaces here. Like in Brooklyn, at least, like. The nearest park is like 10 minutes away, which is like, it's not that far, but like besides that, like what is there? There's like nothing. No, the nearest park from us, what's what we checked, is 23 minutes away. That fucking...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. But like at home, like I live like literally right beside like a big swampy area. I can go outside, I can be with nature, there's a lot of like, it's a smaller community, I know my neighbors, but here it's like a lot different. I feel.
And man, being completely away from nature, it definitely does some kind of thing to you. Like it affects you negatively in some way. I don't understand it, but when you're around nature more or like have to be in it all the time, like you just feel way better, and it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like everyone should go camping or some type of thing where they're in nature every once in a while, at least experience it, because it's like You need it. Like, your body needs it for something. The whole existence of the human race has been based in nature, and then we took it away. Yeah. Like that, it's gonna do something. You know?
And I was thinking about it, I was like, what would I do if I had the option? And I think I would go in like the opposite direction, where I would have like, one single lane roads or something just for like emergency vehicles. But otherwise, you can't get around unless you have like, a bike or something. Make communities smaller, make it so that you don't have to drive like 20 minutes to get to work.
And maybe we'll correct that a little bit. I mean, I feel like we've hit almost the extreme where everyone's online and we have like our little like internet communities, but you're so separated from everything. Yeah. So hopefully, future generations figure it out and come back.
And it's hard. Like, I think New York is like one of the worst examples, because you have high rise upon high rise. You have all these streets, but like it takes forever to get anywhere. And I think it'd be so much better if you could just change it and like make the buses better, make the trains better, and make like public transport, like bikes, like bike rentals and everything better. I think everyone would be like much better off. I don't see and then like the amount of obese people outside, man, it's crazy. In a city like this where you have to walk so much, even seeing that like just blows my mind.
It is mind blowing.
But there was like some cities now that are like being constructed based on that principle, where it's like more sustainable and like.
Why did this just make a sound? Oh, is it gonna run out bad? It's not recording it. Maybe it just stopped. I hope so.
I don't know. At least we have the audio.
Yeah, whatever. But
yeah, man. Hopefully it doesn't get to a Wall-E situation where we fucking.
We're already there, man.
No, we're not. Not yet.
Basically.
Dude, they're completely running off of machines and stuff.
And to come back to your thing, which is like depression, anxiety, I think the whole what makes you more resilient towards like mental issues. Like, I think connection with nature, connection with people, being able to have your needs met, but
those
also still having like a purpose,
Well, everything's so focused on needs met, like physical needs at this point, and just having as much as the next person, that we've completely gone away from human connection with nature, which are like the two biggest things you can have for your mental health, in my opinion. I mean, this is not, almost everything we've talked about so far is not based in like true science, but
there's some girl outside walking with a fucking Louis Vuitton purse, and she's like, all I need is my purse to be happy.
Yeah, which is not true, and she knows that, but and not that I don't like shit's nice, but
yeah, of course, like if you have the option to have stuff or not have stuff, you have stuff. But
when it's interesting to look at through history, because I was born here and like this has been my life, I feel like that's how it's always been, but it's not always been this way. Like, you look at like right now in the US, everything is just try to be as comfortable as possible, don't hurt anybody. If you hurt anyone, you're the devil, essentially, like, or if you cause any kind of pain or discomfort. Whereas in the past, man, I mean, shit, people used to like come here and be like, let's work hard, or like let's grind, like that kind of shit. And I mean, it's definitely healthier. With that said, they were also breathing in soot from coal mines and shit. But, so we're figuring some things out that, but yeah.
I think we're so far removed from like what we need to be that's causing a lot of issues.
One nice thing could be, I mean, we got epigenetics, so we do change like each generation. It's not just we get like, if your genes don't make it, then they're gone, and if they do make it, that's what the next person is. Yeah, but it's also, there's also like the next generation epigenetics. Can you explain it better? Where there's actual genetic changes for your child. Like they're gonna be different than you. They're genetically different in some way, not only because you and like the mother got together, but also because your DNA changed because of epigenetics, right?
You explained it so well, man. What more do you want me to ask?
Really? Oh, okay. And then, so that's like, even though it's just one generation removed from you, for instance, if we're based in like the social media age, you're getting bombarded with all these advertisements, all this shit, then that's going to fuck you up. Is it got a red dot?
Yeah, it's recording.
That's going to like change you in some way, your brain chemistry, whatever. If you're watching porn every night, or if you're the one person, you know, who doesn't do that, then that's going to affect you positively compared to everyone else, and then that will hopefully transfer to your child just because you had that experience, you know. So the experiences that you have in your life will directly affect your child. Like if you are able to like maybe be disciplined and do this thing, they maybe are more going to be likely to do that kind of a thing, you know. So it's kind of interesting.
Read up on it, man. Epigenetics.
That's huge. I mean, that's how we're gonna like eventually be altering our DNA and shit too. Like,
there's gonna be a quiz next episode.
Yeah. You guys have to take step 2.
Those are my thoughts on it. I think like getting away from like our roots is causing, and I sound like a fucking boomer probably.
Here's the thing, we sound like complete assholes. Like either like half the shit we're saying, people are like, oh, duh, but you know, no one's doing it, and the other half, it's like, okay, boomer, but whatever. You want to?
Damn phones, bro.
We have our first email question. You ready? From the best email address I've ever heard.
Keep them anonymous.
Okay. Damn, I wanted to say it, but okay.
All right.
This is the only one, I think. It's got numbers at the end, so that's fine. Evil Elmo asks. I'll let you answer first. How does anyone let surgeons do their first surgeries? Why would anyone allow that?
Why would anyone allow that? What do you mean? Like, there's not really a first surgery. It's like gradual progression where you start off as like a student where you're just watching, you do some small cuts. You learn how to tie knots when you're a resident, where they let you do like small like surgeries, like hand surgeries or something. And then you gradually move up, so there's never really like a first.
Yeah, so when you're like med students, we're like barely helping with like the really basic shit, like holding tools and doing different things like that. And then when you're a resident, you're doing more basic shit, like he said. And then so you're assisting in surgeries until you finally have that full responsibility of I'm doing the surgery in the end, you know.
Yeah, and it takes 5 years is a long time, man. Like working basically every day, 6 days a week or whatever they work. For the entire year, only like 2 or 3 weeks off, and then like coming out of it, like you learn a lot. And honestly, surgery is not that hard. Like it's just protocols of like, okay, you go do this, you have to like take these precautions, and then just take out whatever you need to or fix whatever you need to. Like especially like seeing laparoscopic cholecystectomy, like taking out the gallbladder. The resident was like, oh, I was hoping the attending would like step down and then just let you and me do it. Talking to me, and I was like, oh shit, you think I could like do it? And she's like, yeah, it's super simple, like I'll guide you. And I was like, oh, like it's really not
super simple is very relative.
Like obviously some stuff, but like if you
and by the way, laparoscopic cholecystectomy, it's you laparoscopic, so that means they put cameras in, so they just make a couple incisions and then put cameras into those holes and like the knife too. And then they can cut that shit out. They have to cut out your gallbladder, and then they pull your gallbladder out through the little hole. Which is kind of crazy.
So it's not like that complicated to do surgery. Some of the like complications, if you're like bleeding a lot, it gets tough. But otherwise, I don't think it's like that.
It's true.
That difficult.
Bro, put your feet off the table. They probably are like right on the camera.
There's probably some foot fetishists or something that they want to
see.
see.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's true.
Maybe this evil guy wants to see.
We're men of the people, you know?
I can't believe we had a question. That's crazy.
I know, isn't that crazy?
What did they email? Did they email you or did they email the pod?
They emailed the pod, yeah. I have our email on the list in our information or whatever.
All right.
Yeah, what is it? Let's plug it. It's that is unprofessional at gmail.com.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That is unprofessional.
Let's plug our Venmos in case they want to donate. Anyway, what do you got?
One thing that was funny that came up, I was playing frisbee, ultimate frisbee, and this guy asked me. He's like, he figured I was in medical school, and he's like, I've always wanted to get tattoos, but my mom was always telling me. And by the way, this guy's like 45, 50. But my mom was always telling me, if I get a tattoo, to like,
I'm gonna get you out of the house.
Yeah, like first it was like I'll go to hell,
I'm only 40, mom.
And then it was like, it'll like tint my lymph nodes or like cause permanent changes to my body and stuff. And I'm like, well, first of all, that's the point of a tattoo. But like the lymph nodes. I mean, they can get tinted or whatever, but And she's the funny part of the story is she's yelling this at him and his friend who's driving this car on the highway, like, you got tattoos, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, it's probably more dangerous for your mom to be screaming that in a moving car than it is to get a tattoo, you know? Like,
yeah. So then, what race was he?
Why?
Because I want to know if I should be racist, bro. No, because for like Muslim people, like it's you. If you get a tattoo, you can't go to hell because your body's been stained. So I was wondering if that was like
you can't go to hell, or you
can't. Sorry, you can't go to heaven. You go to hell.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, why aren't they all tattooed up?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Was he brown?
He was very ambiguous race.
Okay.
Like whitish, like Mexican or some shit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, is there a Christian thing like that?
I don't know. I know it's frowned upon. I haven't studied the Bible enough to know if God was like, hey, if you permanently ink your body, you
This is what I've been saying, man. You got to study the Bible more.
Yeah.
You're making a mistake.
Honestly, dude, I was down one time. I started reading it. I'm like, all right, from the beginning, page 1. Shit's just, it's hard, man. Boring. It's very boring. I mean, dude, people who tell me they've read the Bible, I'm like, bet, tell me about it. 'Cause I don't believe you. Because the first chapter, it's literally just listing names and dates for like 10 pages. And I'm like, how did you read that?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
In like the Quran, it's difficult because everything's in Arabic. So you got to fucking learn Arabic. And it's not okay to read a translation. You have to read the Arabic version for some stupid reason, which I think is just like
really
some Arabic propaganda to like, you know, seem... Honestly, I'm not even kidding. I think it's like propaganda just to make like Arabs seem like, you know, better than the rest of the people that you have to read in Arabic. So that is one. And then the second thing is like I've read some of the Quran in like English, and it's basically like fear God, fear God, fear God, you know. You're going to hell unless you know, fear God and you do all these things. And I'm like, man, like, I get it. You want to get people to follow you, but it's kind of annoying when, like, you know, you have to live in fear of, like, going to hell to be a good person. Like, it's really annoying to me. Some of the rules don't even make sense. So that... things I don't believe, and then the only reason I'm doing it is to avoid going to hell. It just makes it like really hard to follow.
You're just hedging your bets. You're like, all right, I'm just gonna try not to go to hell here.
Yeah, hey, exactly. And I was like, I guess like I'll follow. The only reason I actually like follow some things is that I'm like, okay, like there's a 0.001% chance of me going to hell, and I'm like, oh shit, that's actually a really big risk to take. Or if I do like follow some of the rules, I go to heaven. Like. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, man.
Yeah.
I think it's called Occam's razor or something, right? You do the thing that is most likely to be good for everyone around you, and like, I don't know.
I've never heard of that.
You never heard Occam's razor?
I thought that was No, I have heard of it. I think that's like the simplest solution is like the most likely one or something.
Oh, maybe I'm totally mixed up. But yeah, I feel like if you just do good shit, in general, you're gonna please the most gods, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like all of them are down for just cool stuff.
I like that some of them are simple. I really hope the God is like Buddhist, so that like I'm following those teachings. I'm like, okay, just like be good to the world, and like the world will be good to you, basically.
Well, this is the best time to have that philosophy, because if you had that philosophy back in the day, like 2,000 years ago, guess what would happen? Your whole family would be killed and raised. The nearby group is going to completely kill you and just rape your whole family.
Yeah, and life's tough, but man.
But now you can kind of do that, and it's convenient, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like a healthier way to be.
Now that I have no direction in life, I've been playing video games like straight for the past 3 days.
Our whole life is based around these tests.
Yeah,
and we have
exactly.
3 big ones over an 8-year period.
Yeah.
And he just took the biggest one, or the second biggest one, and now he has nothing to do with
it.
Yeah,
now that I have nothing to do, I'm like, I have no direction, there's no motivation to do anything right now, so I'm like, I guess I'll just play video games. That's what I used to do before. So I've just been playing computer games for 6 hours a day the past few days, and it's been really nice. And binging TV shows, it's great.
I bet. I mean, it'll get to a point where you're like,
this fucking sucks.
I know it lasts like a week,
but until then, it'll be a pretty sweet ride, I think.
But the benefit of like doing my test early and I'm also going home to Canada in 2 days. No, tomorrow. Going tomorrow. Is that I had like a few days to chill and I can go home and then like, you know, see my family who I haven't seen in 11 months and see my friends, and it's nice. We have stuff set up, you know, we can play sports and like go see things, so it'll be fun.
Shit's a grind, man.
Here you have like no time to do anything, and then now I have like a bunch of time to like do exactly what I want.
That is our life during clinicals. You're either fucking grinding your ass off or you're doing nothing.
Yeah, you think that like, you know, basic sciences when you're just in lecture is tough, but then like this is way tougher.
What do you mean?
Like there you go to lecture and you study all day.
Yeah, that's true. Your life is to study. That's your goal, is to study. Here it's, you have to go to your clinic, do your thing, maybe impress somebody, try to get a letter of recommendation, then come home and study the rest of the evening. Yeah, so it's even tougher. At least there they would teach you during lecture, and then you don't have to study as much at home.
At least I'm a little bit more, throughout my time in the last year, I've been a little bit more motivated to study, I would say, though. Just because you're actually like seeing stuff and interested in it. Whereas before I was just like wanted to blow my brains out.
That's one of the good things, that like at least I get to do something and then like it helps things stick, but also like it's such a difficult schedule and like it's so easy to get burnt out.
Bro, I think I've gotten burnt out a couple times. I'm not sure. Burned out is used in like various ways.
Yeah.
I've definitely gone through periods where I'm like going hard as fuck. Like no one's going harder than me. I'm doing everything. Let's go. And then, you know, there's periods where I'm like, fuck, this sucks. Like, I'm just going to chill out a little bit. And I'm kind of currently in one of those, but we'll get the motivation back.
Yeah, luckily you don't have to go forever, but it'll be nice like when you're actually like working and all you have to worry about is like, you know, applying what you already know. You don't have to like go home and study and shit, so.
Bro, I can't fucking wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Alright, so what's next?
Alright, next. This was back in Peds ER, and there was a physician talking to another physician, and it was just, it was funny. They were explaining what HIIT training is to the other person, and that's, I forget, high intensity
interval training.
And I don't know, some of it would just seem very basic to me, and I mean I probably learned this shit back in like high school, or even before then, you know, for like football, that kind of stuff. And you know, this is a 35-year-old, 40-year-old explaining to a 35-year-old what HIIT training is, and it's so funny. Like, it's surprising what information even like the smartest people in the world don't know. I mean, you have to fucking specialize for this shit. Like, this is what we do all day, every day, and unless you purposely put yourself out to like do other shit, you will not learn that stuff. You don't learn how to like build connections with people if you're not trying to do it. You don't learn how to cook if you never cook. You know what I mean? Like, so if you just do medicine, which a lot of these people do, like, they don't fucking learn anything else. I mean, they're really good at what they do, you know, depending, but some of them just don't know shit. Which is,
and so what was his take on HIIT?
Just explaining, it was two women. One of them was explaining to the other like how effective it is at like cutting down you know, fat and stuff like that, which I agree.
Yeah. I was binging a show actually. Never Have Ever. It's out on Netflix, season 2. Give it a watch. Show recommendation.
You have the dumbest plugs.
Things that aren't even relevant to me. Basically, it's about like, you know, this girl in high school. She's Indian. She's trying to like get with the hottest guy, and man, obviously the guy is not like, you know, 17 like he's supposed to be. He's like 26 or something. And I always have these periods. I'm like, bro, I used to look like that. You know, like maybe 2 years ago, whenever I was
out. And now you don't look Pakistani anymore.
Well, no, the guy.
Dude, a whitening cream. Which
the guy was like shredded, and I'm like, man, why don't I look like I get it. It's really tough because of schedule and everything, but I think what I don't do is I don't take advantage of like the time off that I have. Not that I've had a lot of like the past year, but there are times where I could have worked out more, or like, you know, had a better diet or something. And so some people see that and be like, and it triggers them. It was like, oh, you know, body positivity, blah blah blah. Why is this girl going after this, like, you know, ripped guy? But I feel like take it as motivation. Like, there's no reason to see someone else and, like, you know, look down. And I'm back. I'm back on the train, baby. I'm gonna do some...
You back?
Once my throat gets better,
girls?
I'm gonna get back, do some hit. Love hit. It's great. I've never seen more results than when I started doing hit, and it doesn't even take long compared to
Bro,
like
but
other
going
things.
off of what you were saying, you weren't taking advantage of your time off or whatever. I was doing it too much almost. Like I would never allow myself to play video games, which is like one of my favorite things. I wouldn't allow myself to do like anything. Everything was based on like my couple of goals, which is like medicine and stuff like that, and like dating. So that's all I would do all day, every day, and then I don't know if I like burnt out, but it gets to be a lot. You gotta let yourself do a little extra shit too, but
Yeah.
it's a balance, baby. It's
No,
a
I
balance.
agree, because I was in that same period. I remember, like, you know, a few weeks ago, I was at that time where I felt like I had to go to sleep, like, right away. And I couldn't stay up past 5 again, like what was happening at the island. So I took a bit of a break as well. And it gets tough if you do too much, but I feel like, you know, some things are more achievable at that time. So I'm back for the next like month. Actually, like when I come back, September, October, like I got nothing going on, so I'm gonna keep going. Watch out for body transformation pics on reddit.com/rbrogress.
Yeah, he's gonna start filling out this fucking giant scrubs he's got on.
I hate these scrubs, but
I've never seen you wear those.
these are my like last line. If I
Oh yeah.
everything else is dirty.
I got the shitty white coat hanging up that I had to wear the other day. It's like my secondary in case my other one's getting washed or something.
Yeah.
In case I was saving a patient and they got blood all over my white coat.
How many patients have you saved?
Like 3,000 million.
Realistically.
0.
Really? Even in ER, you didn't get to like do compressions?
I didn't do compressions and then they survived,
Oh.
which is not a good sign. I've never done compressions and they came out of it.
The most I've done is 3, and that's because this guy kept dying on me, and then the resident was like,
What an asshole.
I know, man, I just couldn't bring him back. And he was like, Ken, compressions. And so I fucking started going, and he came back, and then like his heart would stop again. So I brought him back 3 times, man. These hands have the gift of life.
Yeah. Apparently they take it away too.
Yeah. But he was so far gone because his like freaking brain was like ischemic, no oxygen, that he went to CT scan and he died there. So you know,
Because why you do compressions in the first place is their heart's not pumping blood to the rest of their body.
yeah.
So if their heart isn't doing that, then the brain doesn't get blood, and then it doesn't get oxygen, and then it becomes ischemic, which means there's no air, and then it fucking dies.
Yeah. If their heart's not gonna beat, I'm gonna make it beat.
Yeah, this man's
For
gonna be
them.
on that shit,
Yeah.
and that's why he's getting ripped, so he can do those massive compressions.
That's why I gotta do a hit.
Yeah.
Get the intensity.
So if there's one thing you learn from this podcast, do hit. So then when you have to do compressions,
Yeah.
you save their ass.
Here's the big question.
They actually don't let girls a lot of the time do compressions. 'Cause-
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sister doesn't do them. She's like
Yeah.
5 feet tall. I'm like, what are you gonna compress? Like if it's a baby.
They tell them straight up to not do compressions
Yeah.
and let a guy do it.
It was so funny. One of the nurses, she was doing it. She was also like 5 feet tall, and she was like, I was like, someone else sub in for her. She
Yeah.
was like freaking 50 pounds.
Someone take the lead and be like, hey, we need someone different.
Do you think if you saw someone on the street that was having like, you know, some kind of emergency, you could help them?
I'm on it, baby. I'm on it,
Really?
yeah.
Think so?
I think so.
We had a guy.
What do you mean? You would ignore it?
No, I'm just.
If they were like poor enough, you'd be like, I'm
Yeah,
going to keep
dude.
walking.
They're people of color, like I don't. No, we had that experience like recently. Me and Anastasia were going to the train station, and this guy. It was like early in the morning. It was like 7:30 a.m. This guy's like walking around. He's stumbling, and so he's like walking hunched over, and he's like falls. And he like lands on his shoulder. Sorry, I'm super far.
Yeah, you're out of frame.
I had to show him. He was
Got
like
it.
he fell on his shoulder, and so like we
Right in front of you?
yeah, like so it was like across the street. So we crossed the street, And I was like, hey, sir, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm a lightweight. I was like, have you been drinking? Like, it's fucking 7:30.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
He's like, no, I haven't been drinking. I was like, are you okay? Did you have any like injuries when you fell? He's like, yeah, I landed on my shoulder. And I looked at his shoulder and there was like some blood, but it was like dry. It was old. And, we were helping him up. I was like, where are you going? Do you want to go to the hospital? Because like he was fucked up. Like there was no way he was going to be able to walk 1 block without falling. Because he like
Did
couldn't
he look like a homeless guy? Like a drug dealer?
kind of like he had a dirty shirt, but like everything else was like fine. He didn't look like, it was really hard to tell. He was like in between.
Okay.
I was like, where are you going? Because he was standing and he was holding something, but he was still like swinging. I was like, you're not going to make it anywhere. He's like, I got to go to a street it was like 3 blocks down. And I was like, you think you're going to be able to make it? And he's like, yeah, I'm meeting my family there. I was like, are you sure you don't want me to call you like an ambulance or something? And he's like, no, but like a coffee or chocolate might help. I was like, oh my God,
definitely
man.
homeless. Yeah.
So I realized but he still like needed help.
I was like, genuinely fell over.
Yeah.
But
and
damn, he was of the presence of mind to be like, yeah, but if you could give me some shit, that'd be nice.
And I was like, sir, like coffee and chocolate is not going to help you. You need to go to the doctor and like get checked out. And he's like, oh, okay. And so like, we were like, are you okay here? And he's like, yeah, I'm okay. And
that's not really, that's not a crazy emergency. Like if someone like passed out in front of me, I'm going to be on that shit.
But I'm just saying like stuff like that, I don't think I'd feel comfortable if someone like collapsed in front of me to like take over, but obviously if there was no one,
compared to
if
who's going to be more qualified than you?
If there's no one, I would do it, but
right. But I feel like you do it until someone takes over, or or you can, if you're in the middle of like doing compressions or something, you could be like, is there a doctor?
Yeah. If I was on a plane, I'd be like, yo, any real doctors here? I can take care of it.
Any not fake ass doctors here?
But I wanna like, it's tough because when I was first in the ER and I was really scared if someone came in, they'd make me do compressions, and it wasn't a big deal at all. But I think now it's just like still the same thing where it's like, what do you do when that happens? Like, do you take charge? And I think like after the first time, it becomes more easy because you know what you're doing. But I don't know. My biggest thing is like, I know it's tough, but do I accidentally fuck up and make this person worse off? Or do I like take charge and like, see what happens? And it's tough.
It's tough to decide, but I'd say when in doubt, take charge until you realize there's someone more capable. But
but like
there's laws protecting you if you fuck someone up, right?
Yeah, some of them.
Like good Samaritan law.
Only if you do the right thing.
Yeah.
If you do the wrong thing.
Oh, really?
Then you're not protected. So
what?
If you cause them damage, so see, like if you know the protocols of like how to save people, and you follow them, then you're fine. But if you don't know the protocols and you do the wrong thing, then you can be like liable. And so that's what I'm scared of. Is like I don't want to go into some situation and like we know basic stuff, but is it enough to like help them? Or
and that's a problem with emergency medicine and all medicine right now is you have to practice super defensively. Like it's more about I don't want to like fuck this person up because then we're all fucked, rather than how do I help this person? Like that's not your first thought.
Basically. So I don't know. I'm getting more confident. Before I did EM, I wasn't, but now I think like I could handle some stuff.
Yeah, man. One day at a time.
Yeah. And one last thing, I got a funny story. I was on the train, right? It's another homeless person story. This is what I'm known for, okay? Yeah. I hate the lower working classes and not working classes. I'm kidding, that's not true. But I was on the train and this guy comes on, he's like, hey, my name is Steve. He had a thick Brooklyn accent. He's like, I'm legally blind, my right eye. If someone could help me with some
I got some fungus on my left toe.
He told us about all his medical problems. He's like, if someone can help me with some change or some food, I would really appreciate it. He's like, hey, he's like going around. He's like, hey, can someone help me with some change? And he's like, hey, can you help me with some change or some cash? Blah blah blah. And he walks down the train car, and no one gives him anything. And he like, bangs his like cane on the ground. He's like, fuck you guys! No one wants to help me. And everyone starts like laughing, and they're like, man, this guy didn't get what he wants, so he's like throwing a fit. And the only thing I wanted to say about that is that one trip, which is like 40 minutes, I got asked for money. Hold on.
The camera cut out. Okay.
Okay, that one trip that I took, I got asked for money 5 times.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How far was it?
It was just, I don't think it was even 40 minutes. I think we went to Union Station, so it was like literally 30 minutes to get there. And people like either walk through the carts or like wait at the door and stuff. And I'm like, I could give you money, like sure your story's moving. But if I had the money to give to like,
Bro, you have money.
let me finish. If I had the money to give to everyone, I would.
Oh.
But I can't afford to like give people money every time I go. Like I'm on loans.
Well, it's probably more effective to give to a good charity.
And that's
than
the
it is
other
to
thing.
give
Like
money to.
you know, if I give money to like just someone directly, it's kind of good, I guess.
But it gives a feedback of they're gonna just stay on the street and beg for money. Right?
Yeah, that or like they may not use it properly. They may use it for drugs or whatever. And so I'd rather give it to an organization. But you know, the main thing is that like I can't afford to give money to everyone every time I see them. Like that's just insane. And people may think that like their stories help them, and they probably do. But at the end of the day, like it's just too many people that I can't.
So for the 5th homeless person, you drop kicked him? Or?
Man, I was so annoyed. I fucking like shot him.
And then I came behind and did CPR. And, okay.
We saved him.
Yeah, that's cool. That was fun.
But like that's the one thing I hate about here. Like I wish there was more help for them, but like I can't be the one to help everyone. It's just too many people. And I see the same people like, pretty often. Even when I'm taking the trains, like this guy goes down and he's like screaming and shit. And it's just, I don't know. It's sad, but I wish there was some more done by like the city. But yeah, it's really tough, man. So we'll end it there.
So we'll wrap it up. It's been real. What did we even talk about? I have to like write the notes at the end.
We talked about
how we're being selected for by
society,
yeah.
The COVID,
the COVID.
Step 2, my hate for the homeless.
Yeah, this episode's brought to you by poor people.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Probably more. I don't remember.
All right, we need several seconds of silence. Okay.